So yesterday we were talking about this amazing Verge interview where Phil Spencer sat down and talked about how he sees mobile gaming as a great way to expand the Xbox business. We talked about how they see subscriptions, why Starfield was delayed, etc., etc. Today we're going to dive in on Keystone, how Phil feels about the regulations and the conversation that he's had with regulators in the Call of Duty Activision deal, and the longer term business strategy for the company. Let's dive in right now. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss the videos. I'm trying to do a video a day again, so be sure to hit subscribe and you will know what is going on. So we're going to continue where we left off, and we're going to talk about the regulators and how they've been reacting to the deal. The leading question that the interviewer had was about the process of getting this deal approved. I was looking at some reporting yesterday to prepare for this interview. It sounds like the Activision side of this deal is saying, just do whatever the regulators want and close the deal so we can get paid out and go away. The regulators are saying, we want to impose all those conditions on you. Most notably, Sony is making a lot of noise about Call of Duty and how long it will stay on the PlayStation. Are you prepared to make the concession that regulators might want to close the deal? I have not sat down with a regulator where they have proposed any regulations. I think that people are purporting to report in the press about what's happening is maybe more rumor and hearsay. I have said specific to Call of Duty on PlayStation and Switch because I would love to see them on both, and I don't want to make this about just one of our console competitors. That it's something that we want to do. It's in our models when we think about how this plays out over time. The financials of Activision is that Call of Duty would stay on PlayStation. We are definitely open to discussions with either Sony or regulators about making sure that continues to happen in a way that they want to see. So basically he's saying we're ready for the consent decree. We're not going to offer anything on a silver platter, but we're prepared for those things to come in the near future. And when they do, we'll figure out how and what we want to agree to. But they seem to have no hesitance whatsoever to having Call of Duty remain on PlayStation for the near future. He continues on, when I think about where we are in Activision Blizzard King and the regulatory work, I think we should be analyzing whether we are going to harm players. Is there a world where players have less choice in the market, or is there some kind of blocking that we do? We are committed to continuing to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation. People are worried about that. We are committed to putting these games in Game Pass, which gives people more options in how they want to go play these games. Nobody has presented to me a case that shows how Game Pass is bad for customers. And he's absolutely right. I don't think anybody can actually come up with a compelling argument that says Game Pass is bad. We've heard so many success stories from developers who wouldn't have had their game made, like the Tunic developer, who also ended up releasing on PlayStation just months later. He was able to get the money he needed to finish that game and then release it on a competing platform. And that's great. It's just great to see these continued success stories happen. He continues on, though. No, we have lawyers. I will have discussions with them about approaches. I always come back to, how does this impact our players, speaking of the merger, our customers, and even customers on other platforms? We're committing, and I'll do it publicly, we are going to ship games on PlayStation if that's where the focus is. And he's talking about Call of Duty, right? I have to imagine that not all games are a concern for PlayStation or Xbox. But Call of Duty seems to be the one that everybody is focusing in on and concerned about. So he's laying it on the table. He's like, I'll say it here publicly. We will continue to release Call of Duty on the PlayStation console for as long as we can. They can't sign that in perpetuity, as he outlines in this article, but basically, yeah, that's what he says. They want it to come to PlayStation because that's where they make all their money, long and short of it, right? Now, what's really fun is we actually get a little bit of insight into the Keystone console that was up on his shelf. And he talks about what happened with Keystone. Keystone, it was more expensive than we wanted it to be when actually when we actually built it out with the hardware that we had inside. We decided to focus that team's effort on delivering the smart TV streaming app. It was really just a direction. Okay, we're going to focus our effort on our partnership with Samsung and where that app might continue to show up in different places over time. With Keystone, we were still focused on and watching when we can get it to the right cost. When you have this Series S at $299 and during the holidays you might see some price promotions and you obviously have Series X higher, I think in order for a streaming only box to make sense, the price delta to S has to be pretty significant. I would imagine like it has to be $50 versus $250, right? He continues on. I want to be able to include a controller in it. When we go do that, it was really just about whether we could build the right product at the right price, or if we couldn't, how could we focus the team's effort? We decided to do the TV app with Samsung, and we're really happy with the results there. The Samsung gaming app, I actually got to play it at an event. I believe it was Keely's thing earlier this year, or at some time. I can't even remember. I think it was this summer. It was like the sort of E3 replacement. It's surprisingly great. So if you do get one of those fancy new Samsung televisions, I'd love to hear your home experience. I am hoping that we get to try it out here at my house soon so that I can make a video over on IGN about how that works, but time will tell. In that environment, though, it was awesome. So what is the right price on Keystone? I don't want to announce I don't want to announce pricing specifically, but I think you have to be somewhere around $129, $99 for that to make sense in my view. I said 50, but I'm cheap. We just weren't there with the controller. I love the effort. The reason it's on my shelf is because the team rolled up their sleeves and in 9 months they built that thing. A bunch of us took it home and it worked. It worked really, really well. When you are building new products, it's always about, do you have the right design? Do you have the right user interface? Do you have the right customer proposition? That customer proposition includes the price, and I think all of us knew that we were a little out of position on price. So when you're priced higher than like $129, I have to imagine they were like $200. It's just too much, and people are going to bulk at it and they're not going to purchase it. And then you've put in all this R&D into a product that ends up failing massively, and then that's bad PR. So granted it's cool, but if you don't price it right, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Now they talk a little bit about long-term business strategy here. I think all of that's important to build a long-term business strategy. Let's give you a little bit more context. They talk a lot about, it seems like the whole tech industry is in a period of retrenchment. We have seen that some companies are starting to do layoffs and that some companies are starting to do hiring freezes, and we're heading into a holiday quarter. Even in the games industry, Google said, you know what? We're not going to work on Stadia anymore. So his response was, I think all of this is important to build long-term business strategy that leads to business success. That means customers can bet that Xbox will be here today, it'll be here tomorrow, and it'll be here into the future. And that the teams that are working here can understand that they work in a stable place that is a long-term commitment from Microsoft. Granted, Microsoft did lay off like 1,000 people recently. I don't believe it was in the gaming department, but that is a thing that happened. So I have to imagine there is a little fear built around that. I think there is nothing more fundamental to my job than building out a stable business strategy, a people strategy with the people that work on the team, and ensuring that the business strategy leads to financial success so that we can continue to invest in this category. So his goal is to create a good business model and continue building great things for Xbox. That's all I have time for you today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I really appreciate you watching, and I appreciate the members for hanging out. I have a video that you could check out. Check out yesterday's video if you didn't yet. I'll link to it at the end. We went through the first half of this article. It's a fantastic article from The Verge, and click that join button if you want to become a member. I'm going to get out of here, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.